You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Infinite diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast, here on the BQN Podcast Collective. I'm your host for today, Thad, and joining me as always is my co-host, Chrissie. How are you today?
Communication has been completed. No more reparations are required. I didn't.
Well, that's going to be a short podcast.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Oh, I was trying to think of it. Wasn't restitution, not reparation.
Jeez, what have you done that requires reparations?
Oh, that computer, the computer people, or I've been calling them the computer people, the Kirkovians. Anyway, yeah. I'm doing well, aside from the fact that I couldn't remember the joke that I wanted to tell. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I feel like part of me has now become all of me and the other part is gone, but that's just kind of weird, so I'll just try to keep, performing my duties and social obligations as normal.
Yeah, that shouldn't have a problem at all. At all.
I love that he called out his social obligations at the same time. It's like...
Because for a Vulcan, it's on the same level. It's like, I have to deal with people. Okay.
Fair. Also joining us today is Abby Sommer from the First Flight Podcast. Abby, how are you today?
I will be absolutely fine as long as you both remember to clean up after yourselves, including the crumbs. But honestly, as a mother, I couldn't pass that one up.
Oh,
and I
yeah,
am really thrilled to be here with you guys again. It is always joyous to talk to you. And this one, I am so excited that I get to talk about this one with you guys because it's right up my alley.
Before we jump into our topic for the day, we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons who make our show possible, particularly our associate producers, Carl Wonders and Chrissie De Clerck-Szilagyi. Listeners, you can hear your name listed as one of our associate producers for a monthly subscription of just $10 at patreon.com/BQN. And with a monthly Patreon subscription of just $5, you can join our meetings of the Hive Mind, usually on the second Saturday of each month. What's your Patreon messages for details? So, news, between when we recorded and I believe when we released our episode last week, we had the very sad news that Manny Coto, the showrunner of Star Trek Enterprise in Season 4, passed away. I believe he was only in his 60s. He had cancer, which is very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is heartbreaking because the vision in that person right there is incredible. And Season 4 of Enterprise is nothing less than astonishingly wonderful. So I know that my heart goes out to family and friends and for our whole community.
I'm always very angry and disappointed when I read about what they had planned for Enterprise if it had continued, because it would have been so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fingers are still crossed we get an animated 5th season at some point.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Hope springs eternal.
Yeah.
Because, Paramount is definitely greenlighting animated shows and not canceling them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got a 2+ hour rant on my own pod about that one. So
and
anybody who feels like that, it's not all rant.
We've ranted about that on several episodes, so we don't have to keep going on that. But
yeah,
the other big news in the industry is the Screen Actors Guild, American Film and Television and Radio Artists Guild, which is all one organization, they merged a while back, has gone on strike to join the Writers Guild of America. So now we have no actors working, we have no writers working. Funnily enough, the Directors Guild did actually ratify their contract a couple weeks ago, so if they had actors or writers, they would be able to work, but I don't think they can do much on their own.
There's a lot of overlap there, too.
Yeah.
So,
and I've seen some statements about that saying that the reason that the directors actually approved their contract was because they didn't think there was any way the actors were going to go on strike.
Whoops.
We take it back. No, we didn't mean to.
So, Hollywood has ground to a halt, basically.
Gee, if only there was the second season of a great animated show in post-production, almost ready to put out there.
If only.
Sorry, but not.
Yeah.
One of my favorite memes I saw yesterday was just the Hollywood sign with a Spirit Halloween banner over it.
That's funny.
Yeah. And I've really enjoyed the memes of which CEO was it that said that they were gonna sit on it until they all lost their apartments?
Was that whoever
Eisner?
said that has not. That was not Iger.
Okay.
Iger said something else. That was a. We don't know who said that. That was not attributed to any specific person in the article.
Okay.
But that was someone at a studio did say that about the writer's strike, like a day before the actors went on strike.
Yeah.
Now, Bob Iger has also said some pretty, out of touch things, like, it's bad timing for them to do this now, and
that's the point.
It's unrealistic of them to expect this. The guy who's worth $700 million is, annoyed that other people want money, but
Well, as someone who lives in a union household, because my husband and I are both teachers, and we are very proud members of both our local and state and national unions. You know what? More power to them, because
Absolutely.
It's just showing the worst part of humanity and the greed of a few. And, if anything, the solidarity of the actors binding together shows us that there is still so much good out there, and it's been a hard couple of years to look and find good in humanity as a whole. But for me, strikes are annoying, but they're annoying on purpose because it makes people pay attention.
Yeah.
And people aren't asking for anything other than to be able to do what they do do what they love and get compensated fairly. That's it.
Absolutely.
Nobody's asking for the moon. They're asking to be compensated fairly and to be treated like people, not like a number, not like a commodity, not like a product. Come on. This is easy to do. We treat people fairly and kindly. That's what we should do. And it's nice to see so much solidarity. And I think it's definitely going to get worse before it gets better. As someone who's been in union actions, that's how it gets. And it gets ugly, and people get prickly, and things get nasty, and hard choices have to be made. But I hold out hope that in the end, this is going to be better for the people that are all involved, and for us as a whole to see that collective action really is a good way to change things when you see that the world needs some tweaking.
Preach.
The actors going on strike has really strengthened the hand of the writers on strike.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because, yes, we had those people saying, we'll just wait it out until they can't afford to be on strike anymore with the writers. But the studios can't afford to do that if the actors aren't working either.
No. And just, I don't know that anybody listening to this podcast would think this, but, if you need a way to respond to it when you hear it around, not all actors are millionaires. Okay.
Good Lord, no.
There's, people are saying like, these people are they want to be paid more and they're already paid so much. And it's like, no, some of them are, but just like the writers, most of them are just living, like most of us do, which is paycheck to paycheck. Or if you're lucky, paycheck to next paycheck, have one paycheck put away. I can't think of what that would be called, but you get the idea.
Your rainy day fund.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's not just the money, it's chipping away at everything else. It's chipping it away at you at being able to own your own time, energy, and work. You being able to have credit for that kind of stuff. You being able to have health insurance, to be able to have benefits, to be able to have all the rest of that. And things get systematically picked away until you have nothing left and no power. And it's an unfeasible thing. And they wonder why this isn't just happening with the actors. I mean, it's happening with teachers. It's happening with nurses. It's happening in so many places around the world because the disparity between the haves and the have-nots is so much bigger. And you know what? These are regular people. We are regular people liking what they do, and we need to be able to support that.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I've seen a few actors have said that honestly that they are part-time actors, because if you actually look at the money, they're in the red as far as their acting goes, because having to pay for all the things that you have to pay for as an actor, and not having the huge roles that get you tons of money, because that's a tiny subset of actors.
Yeah. This is not the cast of Friends who are negotiating for $1 million an episode.
But it is also great to see those actors who are very well compensated standing in solidarity. Because yes, Anson Mount is not in any financial danger as far as I know. But he is very strongly out in support of this strike. And the same sort of thing.
He tweeted that after they announced the strike, he tweeted something to the effect of like, okay, I can't talk about any of my work, but does anybody have any questions about the strike? So,
yes.
And it was nice. He went through, he answered people's questions, and yeah.
Well, and it's bigwigs outside of Trek too. Like Meryl Streep was on the picket line.
Yes.
Like, does that tell the general population of the world something? I mean, Meryl Streep is pretty much you don't argue that she's not phenomenal and one of the highest echelon of our actors out there right now. So when she's out there walking, then that's general public going, ooh, Meryl Streep is walking? Maybe I should pay attention to this.
One of my favorite things is the movie Oppenheimer was having its premiere event in London when the strike was announced, and the cast following the strike rules, because that was a promotional event from the studio, they walked out to go make their signs and join the picket, because that's the rules. But
good
I mean,
for them.
Then we're talking people like Matt Damon and Emily Blunt. So yeah.
And Star Trek connection, Jack Quaid.
That's true.
Yep. He's, I think he plays Enrico Fermi. I don't remember. Anyway. I've been kind of Oppenheimer obsessed because I've been reading the book and all of that. Doing the history of the Szilagyi.
If we want to, Scott Grimes of the Orville is in it as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right,
And technically, he's also a Star Trek actor because there was a scene in TNG that he filmed but was cut.
I didn't know that. I was just going to say, because Orville is like a different timeline. So yeah.
No, early TNG, he was gonna be he filmed a scene as a kid on the Enterprise.
He was one of Wesley's friends.
Yeah, but that scene was cut from the episode.
Yeah. He was supposed to be on the ski trip, I think, that episode. Yes. Yeah. So what else to say about the other thing that you will hear people say about unions is like, they're not coal miners, they don't need a union. No, that's just crap. Okay.
But no, everyone needs a union.
Yeah, everyone needs a union.
And I speak as someone who is not in a union job and wishes I was.
Same. Except that's changing now. I don't know how. I've mentioned, but I don't think I talked much on this podcast because it's not super relevant. But I've spent the last 5 years working on unionizing the adjuncts at one of the colleges where I work, and it's been insane, and it has been work, and it was interrupted by COVID, and we had to figure out how to do everything through that, and now we're working through what our first contract is going to be, and it's not that I love teaching. If I had the means, I would do it for free. It's that kind of a thing for me. It's a calling. Teaching is a calling. People don't do that for the money. But also, I need insurance.
Sure.
I need to be able to pay my bills. I have student loans that I'm going to have to start paying on again for the first time in 3 years, and that's going to be a massive hit. And of course, I didn't benefit that much from the student loans being paused because I had less work because there were fewer people taking classes. So it's everyone needs a union. Okay. I know there have been instances where unions abuse their position. I live in Michigan. You want to talk about UAW in the 80s and people abusing their positions and abusing what the union would do for them. I get it, but that doesn't mean that it's not needed. You deal with those as the abuses that they are. So
yeah, no, that's not an inherent problem with unions. No. That's just an inherent problem with people in general. Humans. In everything. Yes. There are always going to be people who abuse their position in insert thing here. And one of the benefits of unions is that they help fight against abuses of power.
For every guy who got his position back on the line at GM or Ford or wherever because of the union saying he had to have it even though he shouldn't have been doing the job, there's many, many, many more examples of people whose jobs were maintained and saved because of things that the union did for them because they lost them for no reason of their own. So
when you think about unions, a lot of it too is you have your local and then you go bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's connecting all these people who don't always necessarily see each other every day or work with each other every day. I mean, think about all the different places that people are going to act. Like, you don't see how many people are in this and fighting and going through the same thing until there is a union and you realize, this is not a me thing, this is an us thing. And it's, a way to get all those little people together so that your impact is felt more.
I would say, honestly, the fact that the three of us are sitting here in our homes recording a podcast on a Saturday morning is because of unions.
Sure. Because we have a weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, ha! Yeah, good job, Thad.
It took me a moment to see where you were going, but
Yeah.
Sorry, I was a little...
Nice.
No, that was good. That was good.
Yeah.
It is. Weekends, the 40-hour work week, the Fair Labor Standards Act, not having child labor, although apparently in some states in this country that's changing, but that's a whole other issue. And all of the rest. Yeah. We have been desensitized to what the unions do and how important they are because there are so many of the things for which the unions fought are just the norm now, weekends and such. There's a meme that I've seen a number of times, and it's something to the effect of people don't understand the need for unions because they don't have children working in the mines. Which, like I said earlier, is not the only people who need unions, but at the same time, people were aware of that and are aware of that kind of thing. And I don't know, I can't say enough about it.
Union strong.
Absolutely. Always and forever. I always support union strike actions in any industry. And people who complain about the effects of a strike, that's the whole point. A strike doesn't work unless it is disruptive. That's how a strike gets things done. Yeah. We're possibly looking at a much more devastating strike affecting this country with UPS coming up soon. If they go on strike, a bunch of things in this country are going to grind to a halt.
Yeah. And we're getting away from the topic here, but they don't have air conditioning in their trucks.
Yep.
Like, what? What century are we in here? You don't have air conditioning in a truck. Don't even get me started.
Yeah, before we start recording, I commented about how it's 97 degrees here today, and I have a package coming from UPS today.
I will say, though, if more people start using the post office, because I'm very much a supporter of the post office.
They don't have air conditioning in their trucks
No,
either.
they don't, and they need to deal with that too, but I'm kind of like, anytime I can push people to using the post office. I'm not anti-UPS, but I mean...
You're pro-post office.
I'm pro-post office, there we go, yeah.
I am pretty much always pro the publicly funded version of something. So, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to not get out too far on a limb here and say we at BQN support the strikers and have solidarity and, yeah.
That one of the things that, really just, made me do a double take is one of the reasons that they're striking is because the contract included a clause that they could be scanned to make...
Yes!
To make AI versions of them for background shots and things and never be paid for that again.
Yep.
That's insane.
And that's just insane. Yeah.
Well, and it makes you look at this and go, okay, I am hoping in my heart of hearts that was an offer, because a lot of times with negotiations, you throw out everything you can possibly think of in hopes that when you have to pull back, you pull back to what you actually want. So I'm hoping that was oh my God, we're going to throw out this big old crazy thing so that you're going to be willing to compromise on some of these other things. But, oh my God, that's scary. Mm-hmm. That's like, has nobody ever read science fiction? Has nobody done any of this speculative AI stuff? What? Are you not paying attention? That is the first step of a dangerous road.
Mm-hmm. So here's my thing. I'm actually fine with the idea of using someone's likeness with AI for things as long as they're compensated for it. And, because this sort of thing already exists, has existed for... Yeah.
Yes.
This sort of thing has been around. The idea of taking someone's image and using it again, compositing it in, has been around since the 90s. Like,
Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
That was one of the big selling points for that movie.
And using it to fill in background crowds in films and TV shows where they'll get like 20 people and then copy and paste them to make them into a crowd of hundreds. Mm-hmm. That has happened for a very long time. Mm-hmm. And that sort of stuff is fine. There is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with using AI likenesses for background images of people. But that's an image of a person, and that person deserves to be paid every time their image is on screen.
Yes.
Paid and credited and asked.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Every single time. Not necessarily like, hey, we want to copy you 100 times for this army. Are you okay 100 times? You can say, yes, I'm okay for you to use it in this instance 100 times in one spot.
Right.
But like, this is people. This is not just a generated thing. You ask people permission for things that relate to them. End.
Yeah. Consent is not just about sex.
Imagine, like, someone gets scanned to be put in insert movie here, and then the studio is also making another movie about, Nazis or something, and they don't want their image to be used as them as a Nazi. They shouldn't be able to have the right to say that. Now, I mean, if someone does want to allow their image to be used as a Nazi and get paid for it, there's nothing wrong with that either. But
as long as they're not actually a Nazi. That's where I draw the line.
Yes, I have. There is absolutely something wrong with people literally being Nazis. I will say that all day long. But anyway.
I just want to say, before we step away from the strike, we need to keep in mind that places like Los Angeles, Hollywood, all of that, those are functionally company towns. And for every one of those actors that's striking, who is going to be okay, you have all sorts of people who do minimum wage jobs around the filming and everything else that goes along with producing television and movies, and they're out of jobs too.
Yep.
So, one of the ways to show solidarity is, if you're in a position to do so, is make sure you are... I realize this is a very small subset of our listeners who happen to be in Southern California or areas where filming and all of this is done, but patronize those places that are losing business because filming and writing and everything else is not going on. So,
yeah. So one thing that is still a matter of some confusion vis-a-vis this strike is whether or not actors can go to conventions.
Yeah.
And if you go on Twitter, you will see every possible opinion on this, spoken from complete authority from people who truly do not know, but believe strongly in their heart of hearts that it must be this way.
Well, and I think it's interesting because people are saying things because they're at conventions where things may or may not be happening. And I think it's different if the strike occurs while you are literally at a convention. You might have a little bit more grace than people who have a week or two to think about being at a convention.
Yeah, so the official guidelines are a bit less clear than they should be.
Yes.
And I've seen some speculation that the people that wrote these guidelines probably weren't even considering the idea of cons that are not like, say, San Diego Comic-Con, which is the one that is specifically called out in the guidelines.
Yes.
Conventions like Comic-Con is what they say. It would capitalize Comic-Con, which they mean San Diego or New York, that sort of thing. And what is absolutely 100% not allowed, we can all agree on this, is promotional work for the studios at a con. So, like San Diego Comic-Con, those actors are there, paid by the studio, organized by the studio to promote insert show or TV or movie, etc. here. That is not allowed. You cannot do work for the studio that you're striking against while you're on strike. That defeats the purpose of a strike.
Mm-hmm.
Where there's a gray area. Yeah, exactly. Where there's a gray area and some of the wording is not as clearly defined as it should be, and I think we will get much more concrete information from the union next week, probably.
Yeah.
I know specifically Armin Shimmerman, who is heavily involved in SAG-AFTRA, has said that he has a call in to get specific clarification on this. Mm-hmm. But where it is less clear is when it is a convention that is not a convention appearance that is not done at the behest of the studio, like, say, STOV, or your regional con that gets, like, a handful of guests, that sort of thing. Yeah. Where these actors are there not under contract with the studio, they're under contract with the convention company, specifically with that actor, to appear and sign autographs, get photos with fans, etc. That, in my opinion, and I admit that my opinion shouldn't necessarily matter in this case, but in my opinion, that should, under the spirit of the strike, be allowed. Because if, to just use an example, if Jerry Ryan wants to go to STOV and take photos and get photos and autographs with fans, she is not doing so at the behest of Paramount.
Right.
She is not directly benefiting Paramount. They're not getting any money out of this. And she is earning money from the convention, but not for doing acting work. That seems to me to be a good thing. These actors can earn some money during the strike without having to cross the picket line.
Yeah.
Now, that depends on how you view it. It's possible that the rules will come down saying, well, anything like that, they are still marketing on their role in this work done under contract, so therefore it still counts. I think that's probably going a little too far, but we'll see what happens. What's happening right now, there is Creation Entertainment is doing a convention for the Vampire Diaries this weekend. I never thought I would be following Creation's Twitter and watching with bated breath to find out what happens at the Orlando Vampire Diaries convention, but I have been. And the actors are there. The actors are appearing on stage, but they have, for the moment, made a rule that no one can ask any questions about the shows. So I'm very interested to be a fly on the wall at those Q&A panels.
I guess we get to know a lot more about their favorite foods, what they're reading this summer, their favorite vacations. That's kind of cool.
Right, and honestly, I'm fine with that. If that's how STOV works out, that's fine. I'm totally okay with that.
That would probably be such a breath of fresh air for everybody, because the actors could answer questions other than the ones that they've been answering for, 30 years.
Yeah, the problem here comes into when you're going to a convention that is dedicated to, and this probably means that Galaxy Con or like the other regional conventions that are just sort of like a generic pop culture con where people from all sorts of things are there, that's probably 100% okay for them to have a table there and do photos and because the con is not specifically about their work.
Yeah.
Things like the Vampire Diaries convention, which I'm sure those actors will be fine, even if clarification from the ruling says that this is not okay, I'm sure it'll be fine for them to have done it this weekend when no one was sure.
Yeah.
Things like the Vampire Diaries convention, STOV, that sort of thing, where the convention is clearly about the work that they have done, even if they don't talk about it. The convention itself is about Star Trek.
Yeah.
So that becomes, is Jerry Ryan going to STOV just by the nature of being at a convention about Star Trek? Is that her promoting Star Trek?
Yeah.
And that's a complicated question.
I think it's a little easier for the people whose shows are not in current production. Like,
yes.
Yeah, like, I mean,
but
is the cast of DS9 showing up somewhere is a little different. Yeah.
So here's the thing. The guidelines specifically say that past work also, that you can't do stuff for past work either.
Oh, I didn't read the guidelines closely.
And that Vampire Diaries convention, because a bunch of people, again, I'm just going to use that as the example because that's the one that we can talk about now. It's the one that's happening. People have been saying that same thing. Oh, it's only current, but Vampire Diaries and its various spin-offs, they're all off the air now. So they're, at the moment, they're not even talking about past work. So
yeah, okay.
And regardless, what I will say this right now is, if it comes out the way that I think it will and the way I hope it will, that it's okay for the actors to go to these things that are not directly involved with the studio, there are still going to be a lot of cancellations. Mm-hmm. There are still going to be a lot of actors who choose not to go to the convention out of an abundance of caution due to the way the contracts are written, or just simply out of solidarity for the strike, or because they would rather be on the picket line striking than appearing on stage.
Yeah.
And all of that is fine. I don't think any of our listeners would ever harbor ill will towards actors for choosing to do that instead of going to the convention, but just please don't.
Yeah.
If I'm just going to keep using Jerry Ryan, and I'm sorry, Jerry, if you're a listener. But if Jerry Ryan chooses not to go to STOV and instead wants to be on the picket line in LA, that is 100% fine, and I will not blame her in the slightest. That is fine. She can do that. Mm-hmm. But also, if she chooses to go to STOV, that's great too. Either way, I am fine with it, and I suspect what will happen vis-a-vis STOV is, if this comes down that it is okay, we're going to get some actors that pull out, but we'll probably get a few others who wouldn't have been available because they would have been working, who will now be there.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Well, and I think, like you said, the most important thing is respecting the choices of the actors, you know, and just being fine with whatever they decide to do and whatever they are comfortable with, because the most important thing is that we want to support those striking workers.
Absolutely.
And so whatever that means for whatever is right for that person, their family, their situation, whatever, that's fine. And you give everybody the respect they need to do what they need to do and how they need to do it, and to follow the spirit wherever it so carries them in solidarity.
Yeah, I do also understand there are quite a few people that are rather upset about this, because, especially considering STOV, which is the example I'll keep using because, well, we're a Star Trek podcast. That's 2.5 weeks away.
Yeah.
People who are going to that convention have their flights. They have their hotel rooms. The hotel rooms can probably be canceled. The flights usually can't, unless you paid more money for the flights that can be canceled, which I can tell you that I never do. Your best option, the best thing you'll probably get out of it is credit rather than a refund. Yeah. You're stuck with those flights, those flights to Vegas. So I'm going to Vegas regardless of what happens. The con also will not be canceled. Because I also paid for the admission to the con, and I'm stuck with that. And there's no way Creation is going to say, oh, we're going to cancel the con and refund your money. That would never happen.
No. Remember the early cons before our time? They were not about going to see the actors or getting autographs or anything like that. It was going to communicate and spend time with people who appreciate this thing that you also appreciate, and making friendships and all of that. So to me, I mean, yeah, it's great to see all that stuff at the conventions, but I go there to see the people that excuse me, and I don't get to go to STLV this year, but go to see people that I don't see otherwise. You know,
Yeah. No,
so that's
absolutely.
what it's for. If you're,
and that's one of the best things about going to STLV, and the reason I keep going to STLV is because I have so many friends there that we'll spend time with, we'll hang out, we'll talk about Star Trek. That said, I would not be spending thousands of dollars to go to Vegas if there were no Star Trek actors there. I mean, at this point I'm committed. I will be if there are no Star Trek actors there. And to be fair, it's once the week is over, yes, it'll be thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're just looking at the
Food
flights
and
and the hotel, etc., but then we're also talking about eating food in Vegas, which, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, I would not be spending all that money to go to Vegas just to see other Star Trek fans.
Yeah.
As much I would absolutely drive somewhere closer to a con to see Star Trek.
You did
fans,
a couple
but I would
weeks
not
ago.
Be right, exactly. Well, there were actors there, but yes. But yeah, I would not. So I understand. I've seen a lot of people saying that. I don't go to Vegas for this, and it's like, but I think if most of those people were honest, they would also not go to Vegas if Creation announced we're going to have STOV with no actors this year. I think that most people would not have signed up.
No, but I mean, it's an expectation thing.
Sure.
It's if people had known that this was what was going to be earlier, then you go, okay, do I want to do this? Do I not?
Right. Either way, it's still going to be a fun week, and it will be a unique experience regardless of how this shakes out.
Yes.
Even if if it turns out it's fine for the actors to be there, but we can't talk about Star Trek, that is going to be quite an experience that I'll be able to tell people for years.
It'll be the one that everyone's referring to forever. Remember that convention when there wasn't any stuff?
If it turns out that no one from SAG-AFTRA can be there, and the only people there are a handful of British actors because they're equity instead of SAG-AFTRA, that will also be exciting that I can tell people about. This will be, regardless, if the only people there are the ultra-conservative actors who don't believe in unions, well, that'll also be something I can tell people about.
Yeah.
You'll have stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Regardless, I'm going to have fun talking about Star Trek with friends. I'm going to go to just some amazing Las Vegas buffets.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will see what happens. I think a lot of things are going to change in the next 2 weeks, so I don't know what's going to happen with STLV. I know the con won't be canceled. They've already taken money from all these people. They're not going to give it back.
Probably spent it already, too.
Yeah, exactly. Now, admittedly, it is in Creation's best interest. Like, you can say, oh, well, Creation's just greedy and they don't want to cancel. But also, like, Creation will take a huge hit if the actors aren't there because they won't be getting the money for the photos
Yeah.
that people haven't bought yet. So, yeah, and that's a huge part of it, because, those photo and autograph tickets can be extremely expensive, and yes, they sell them ahead of time, and people do buy them ahead of time, but they also sell tons of them at the convention, because certainly
Impulse
the advice...
buy is strong.
But even beyond that, the advice I give people is, unless it's someone who doesn't go very often, and you think there's a chance it might sell out, don't buy it ahead of time, because you're paying that $9.50 service fee for every single ticket if you buy it online, and you don't have to deal with that if you go to the convention. It doesn't apply.
Yeah.
So though they would get tons of those sales would happen at the con, and those obviously will not happen if there are no actors. So if Creation were to just straight up cancel and refund everybody's money, they would be out of business the next day. They would themselves would have no money. Hey everybody, this is Thad. Just a quick heads up. Between when we recorded this podcast and now when I am editing it, we did actually get some guidelines for conventions. And they actually specifically called out STLV as okay for the actors to go to as long as they do not promote their work. What this means is that the actors will be signing autographs and doing photos. They will not have on hand photos of themselves in any of the roles that they have played, but they will sign anything if a fan brings it to them, including pictures of themselves in various roles, etc. The only thing is they cannot personalize them with quotes from the shows or their name from the show, anything like that. They can only sign. The other thing is the Q&A panels cannot talk about any of their works, so that will get interesting. We'll get hobbies, etc., etc. Either way, we're still gonna get some cancellations, and that's okay. But the important thing is that the convention will go on. There will be actors there, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. And I hope to see you there in 2 weeks.
Oh, the world these days. It's going to be an interesting few months, and it's going to be an interesting next year when people realize that the impacts of this are not just immediate.
Yeah.
We're going to... Thankfully, we will still be getting Star Trek next year because Discovery was postponed.
Yeah.
But that might be the only Star Trek we get next year.
Oh, that's funny.
Although, I don't know... We might get Prodigy Season 2 next year. I
am putting out in the universe, I am manifesting, we are getting Prodigy Season 2 sometime next year. We're just not sure quite how, where, or when. But it is coming.
I agree.
And I don't know how far into production Lower Decks Season... What are we up to? 5 next year?
Yeah.
I believe I saw somewhere that they had it partially written, and that's it.
Okay, well then in that case, we might not get it, because voice acting is part of the Screen Actors Guild. So, because the writers for animated shows, that's not part of the WGA. That's a separate union, and they had their renegotiation a couple years ago, so they are not striking. So writing for animated shows can still go on, but you can't get anybody doing the voicing the lines. So,
and I think that's part of the reason that it's so powerful that we do have the actors out there now, because
absolutely.
All of those networks were going, we're just going to do a whole bunch more animation. It's going to be the golden resurgence of animation. And they're just like, no, try again. Good try.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I am not an industry expert, so it's possible this will go on for a year. I don't think it will.
No, I don't think it will either.
They're forcing the studio's hand, and that's the whole point of going on strike. The studios are going to need to negotiate and come to a deal with the writers and the actors at this point, because they're very quickly going to run out of programming. And even if they still have programming for the next several months, it will still be months after they resume work before they would have new stuff to add. So, yeah. Regardless, expect a lot of reality TV.
And maybe a resurgence of some of the golden age sitcoms. Let's have a throwback Thursday and all that kind of thing. That's what I would do if I were a TV exec.
Also, Chrissy, we might finally get your wish. We might get Strange New Worlds on CBS.
Actually, you're right.
I thought about that, and then I was like, but the runtimes vary too much. Would they cut? Would they put would they start things at weird? Because that affects like advertiser blocks and stuff. So
the smartest thing to do with that is just put it in if it's a 60-minute episode, put it in an hour-and-a-half block.
Yeah. Or God, they might cut it down like they do when they re-air old TV shows.
No.
I mean, I don't want them to. I'm just saying they might.
Well, yeah. The larger block is less work. So you think they'd lean that way, but probably not.
We shall see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Anyway, we're at the 45-minute mark now, so let's talk about
Strange
New Worlds.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, listeners. The rest of the episode we'll be doing in charades, so I'm sorry that you won't really get the full effect.
But you'll hear all of us snickering at each other's faces, right? It'll just be an hour of, ha, good one.
Yep. Well, on the guesses,
Oh, true.
Yeah. Is this part of charades? How many syllables did this human use? I'm so disappointed that we didn't actually get to see them do charades.
A little bit, but also that
since
would have
apparently
been really
they did
cringe.
it. Since T'Pring's father is bringing up charades, they clearly actually did the charades off camera.
There's a couple things in this episode that happen off camera that I would really have liked to see too. Like, I really want to know what memory T'Pril and T'Pring shared. I mean, we know about Spock and Amanda, but I would like to know that memory too, because she was T'Pring was not pumped about this mind exchange. So I would like to see what her mother did give her. I think it would be interesting. But we're jumping way ahead. Probably
pictures of someone she went to school with that she'd rather have her marry.
Ston.
I was about to say.
That's funny. Oh. See, I was thinking more like the first time you didn't disappoint me in something. So like it's saying I gave you a positive memory, but
that would be positive.
She has no memory, so the first time T'Pring didn't disappoint her because that has never happened.
Yeah. But I figured it would be some sort of like backhanded compliment memory. Yeah. You know, like I'm showing you this because to the world it means this, but you know what I'm really telling you. Yeah. Like that seemed like the kind of vibe from that mom.
Yeah, she's a handful.
I feel really bad for, I have forgotten his name, but Mr. T'Pril. Thank you.
Mr. T'Pril. Because you know that's really how everyone's thinking about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know there's a huge theory going on that he is secretly half Romulan, and that's why he was so much more emotional and why he's always, like, bowing down to her, because she knows the Vulcan thing to do, and he's hiding a secret, and I'm just like, wow, that would take a lot more than 10 episodes in a season for us to see, because this would be a minor character's family member's story. But okay.
I think you just pitched Star Trek Civet.
Yeah.
See, this is when we're going to do all those tiny little mini-series, right? This is how we're going to get Archer back. Bakula would come back and do like a 4 to 8 episode arc. We can have all the history of T'Pring's family going on. Like, there's so many, well, after the strike.
And Connor Chenier is in that Bakula arc because Trip didn't really die.
Exactly.
There you go.
I got into a thing on Twitter with somebody
that happens
yesterday.
On Twitter?
Yeah.
People get into things on Twitter? I've never heard of this.
You know, and I was not in the habit of this happening, but I think our podcast has a larger reach now because I'm hearing more of the trolls.
Oh,
so I'm taking it as a positive. I retweeted, I can't remember who posted it originally, but it was like Justice for Civet, let him have snacks or something like that. And
let him have snacks.
Yeah. And somebody was on there, was like, do you think he has Bendai syndrome because he's not acting like a Vulcan and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, I know that we have this concept of monoculture, but not, my example was not all Klingons are bloodthirsty and not all Ferengi put profit above everything. So why couldn't you have a Vulcan who enjoys food? You know, he wasn't acting, it wasn't like he was sitting there like laughing and crying and he was pretty
but he
controlled.
He was definitely expressing pleasure, but not in a very emotional way, I thought.
No, it was just like, this is good.
He was trying to straddle the line. Like, I felt a lot like maybe he's the one who connects more with T'Pring, but his role in this ceremony is not that piece. And that he's trying to make this better for his daughter and less awkward overall and be polite back to the host of this because it's all changed. And his life is probably trying to smooth out these two smart, powerful women and their headbutting that has been going on for the decades that they have been a family. So I'm guessing that he has many of these that are just habits. I mean, we've all met people like this. We've all met families like this. I'm thinking that was less emotion and more peacekeeping and just kind of his innate keeping the family calm however he can help to do that.
Yes. And I think you know, they mentioned earlier that he's the one that wants the connection with Sarek.
With Sarek, yeah.
So, you know, he's not a what is it called? The Vitash Cattell, the Vulcans without logic. He's obviously not that, but maybe he's somebody who sees an in-between. You know, maybe he's a Vulcan with logic and an appreciation for food or something. It's like let people just. And the other thing too is like we've already really established that not all Vulcans are completely coldly logical, because there is the difference between those who have had Kolinahr and those who haven't.
Yeah.
Well, and let me throw out here, first of all, I'm so excited that I get to talk about Vulcan aesthetic in this episode, because it is like, if I could live on Vulcan and like wear their clothes, use their stuff, hang out in their places, all that, it just ticks every single box for me, because it is very ordered and very precise and very geometric, and everything has its place and its function, which I personally appreciate as someone who likes to get everything just so.
Yeah.
However, and we've talked about this a lot on my podcast where we're reviewing Enterprise, and there's a whole lot of Vulcan building there. Vulcans that are closer to the Vulcans on Strange New World than they are on other shows.
Yes.
So culture doesn't stay the same the whole time. And when you look at Vulcan stuff, which I do a lot because it just makes me happy deep down inside me. Yeah. It is art. Everything Vulcans do is beautiful. They wear art. The structure of their clothing, the jewelry. Oh my God. I don't know if I could pull it off because I am not that cool, but Vulcan jewelry, I crave it. I love it. It's just so fluid but precise. And so it does not surprise me that somebody might like Vulcan food. I mean, people obviously care a lot on Vulcan about this kind of stuff, not just because it's tradition, but because it's beauty. And because I know for me, when I see things that come together just right, you just kind of go, yeah. And I think that's a lot of that Vulcanness. Like when it comes together just so, like a game of Caltho, you just go, yeah, that's right. So it doesn't surprise me that he might be, I mean, we don't know what he does. For all we know, he is a chef. He is a clothier. He is, someone who is more a Vulcan artist, because obviously they have them and they respect them, and Vulcan's stuff is pretty. So I don't feel like he is not a typical Vulcan. He is just a different type of Vulcan than the ones that we usually see in politics or on starships or doing crazy things. He's just a normal, everyday, for all we know, he's the sous chef at the Plomeek Soup restaurant down the road. We don't know.
I like what you said about the art with the it's geometric, because that actually does work in the context. If you have a society that is that values logic above all, okay, then having things that are mathematically like representative, it makes perfect sense that would be their art. So yeah.
Well, and it lines up with when we hear Chapel talking to the jerk Vulcan about the Fellowship, and he's talking about how she didn't recreate the principles word for word. She didn't plagiarize, and that's not okay on Vulcan. And that ties in, too. They want things just so. They want it just right. And that is part of who they are. But again, within that, I mean, sitting here on our screen, three of us, we would have much different preferences if we sat down and ate a meal together as opposed to the Vulcans. That's normal. That's biodiversity. That's personal preference.
Also, I mean, if we just want to talk, if you want to say that, I've forgotten his name again, Mr. T'Pring.
I'm going to laugh at that every time.
If you want to say that he is more emotional than a typical Vulcan, which you could say, because
absolutely,
he has lost all control. But there are very wide-ranging levels of humanity being outwardly emotional.
Yes.
So why wouldn't that also be true with Vulcans, just to a much smaller degree from our perspective, because they're Vulcans?
I bet Civet is not accustomed to dealing with humans. I feel like Vulcans who deal with humans on a regular basis try extra hard to be extra Vulcan.
Oh, yeah.
Well, okay, so let's talk about funny, because I have heard so many people talking about this episode overall, and here we are having a very serious discussion about, like, Vulcan culture, right? And in an episode that's humorous, and people don't like when it's humorous, people don't like when it's dark, people don't like when it's, you're never going to please everybody, but I really enjoy having some more of this episodic, less than dire trek.
Yes.
I mean, and there are big stakes here. This is Spock's life.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not universe stakes, but it is to him. I mean, anyone who's been through a breakup or a potential union, like, it is a big deal, just like he said. So there are stakes in this episode, and obviously, we have people in life-threatening situations when you're in, different type interdimensional space, but it's nice to have this lighter tone. It's nice to have some laughs, some actual laugh out loud laughs, and to have it come in the middle of the season. And I like that they did that with Spock Amok last time too. I like that maybe season 5 of Strange New Worlds, every season is just going to be Vulcan hijinks, silly hats, and the lighter episode.
Oh my
and that's
God, yes.
fine with me. And it, heavy on the T'Pring. I like that too. Like, she can come on my screen anytime she wants to. But it's okay. And, I found Spock Amok is one of my comfort food episodes now, because you can just turn it on and it's just nice. Like, you don't have to think too hard. You don't have to worry too much. You can kind of drift in and out. And I feel like this one might get to that point for me too. And it's hard to know till the season is done, but just to have that nice, that light, those laughs, that's something you're like, yeah, I do want to go back and watch that again, because it's just fun. And it's good to have some of those things in here. So I'm so glad we got a comedy episode. And, Vulcans being extra Vulcan-y is always good for the the comedy aspect of a Star Trek episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I love the smorgasbord. I want the dark episodes. I want the funny episodes. I want everything in between.
Yeah, that's what makes it interesting. Part of what makes it interesting. And while I do enjoy the occasional nitpick, I don't need explanations for everything. I don't need it all to be consistency. Like, the reality is that consistency is not reality. So, relax. Enjoy it.
I don't mind a good nitpick here and there either. And, speaking of, all right, so you guys have both seen, I assume, and I'm hoping, listeners, if you haven't, that you go back and watch it, the scene in the transporter room where the door doesn't open for Ensign Mount in this episode?
No, I haven't seen that. Oh, I'll have to look.
No.
Okay.
Okay, so it's the scene in the beginning where Amanda beams on and they're talking and Spock's got the beanie and everything, and then Pike goes to leave to let them have their moment, and you can see it. The scene is focused on Spock and Amanda, but as he's going to walk out the door, it doesn't open for him, and you can actually see Ensign Mount go, what? And take a step back, but they left it in. It's so
Nice.
funny. It's
Nice.
so funny. So it is that. If there's ever an episode to leave in an intentional blooper, and I can't imagine someone didn't catch it because it's pretty there, this is the one to do it. Like, this is the one to do it. And I think it's kind of funny that the Enterprise is like, nope, you're still in this conversation. Thank you very much.
It fits, too, because it adds to the awkwardness.
Yeah.
Like, I'm leaving because this is
Yes.
awkward, and now I can't get out. It's like in a sitcom when somebody goes to leave and they go into the, they open the door to the closet instead.
Yep, exactly.
Love it. Love it. I have to go back and watch.
I think the clip is floating around out there already, too,
I'm
on
sure,
all the
yeah.
socials, so.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I have so far only made one GIF from this episode, but I plan to make several more.
Oh, yeah.
I made a Vulcans can be such jerks GIF.
The one-liners in this are just fantastic. And how many one-liners have we thrown back and forth from this series, from other series already tonight?
yeah.
This episode is going to be a treasure trove. And when somebody, in like 10 years goes, oh, wait, now I suddenly get what you've been making all these references to. You're like, yeah, just watch this one.
I also need to make a GIF of Mbenga's face reacting to things.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Yes. The turbo lift where he rolls his eyes up. That is
Where he looks at Chapel and then he's just like,
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice because you see the not necessarily main players of this episode getting so much of that. And it makes it feel real. Like, these are real relationships. These are people who know what's going on off camera. These are people who understand the dynamics, even if we're not seeing them explicitly spell it out to us. And that is part of what makes it feel like a real lived-in universe. And that in the bar scene, I love, first of all, the off-duty clothes.
Yeah.
Like, the 60s aesthetic modernized. And if this episode is not nominated, and for all I know, there's a fantasy episode coming up or a musical episode where the costumes are better. But
I think there is a musical episode.
Doesn't mean the costumes are better, but I will be excited for that one when it comes. But if this doesn't get nominated for costuming, because it wasn't just the Vulcan stuff, it's the off-duty looks, because they're all like 60s, but modern, but futuristic. That is so hard to do. And those scenes where we just see them hanging out like people, like, I love that La'an is actually hanging out, being friends, having a good time. I love that we see them eating food. Ortegas has that great burger. Uhura got a beautiful sandwich.
Can we get this to go?
They're taking shots. This is what people really do when you live on a ship and you hang out with the same people after work that you hang out with during work. And it's fun to see those. And I love that we got another end of a joke without a beginning. There's a Star Trek trope for you right there, walking into the punchline of the joke.
The clown can stay, but the Ferengi in the gorilla suit has to leave.
Exactly. The Farpoint mission. I get it.
Data, that was 7 years ago.
No, I just got it. Oh. Well, all right.
Well, and if we're talking about Star Trek tropes, are we going to talk about the fact that they put Spock in a hat for the backwards reason of normal?
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Oh,
Also, why is the Delta backwards on that hat?
I am hoping that it was intentionally done because it was being worn for the opposite reason of what it normally is. Isn't it, though? It's such a little thing. I'm really hoping somebody comes out and goes, yep, purposeful, because that's beautiful.
Oh, it is. You're okay.
Yeah, when Amanda comes on board and she asks about the hat, and he says it's a standard issue, and Pike's like, yep, got one just like it. Like, he doesn't even miss a beat.
It's not silly, it's regulation. Yeah.
Yeah. And why aren't they selling these already? They should have had those ready to go, because they would have sold thousands of them as soon as that episode dropped.
Paramount marketing is terrible at their job.
Yeah.
No kidding. You need money to keep our shows on? Please sell us stuff.
The same reason why they never sold a plush Murph.
I know.
A plush Murph. Yeah.
I'm still telling you, somebody has $1 million idea, and I don't know how to do it, but you make a Murph plushie that can, like, fold inside out like those double-sided puppets, and one of them is... Yes, like that guy. And one of them is original Murph, and then one of them is the Ninja Bread Murph, as my girls call him. And it's perfect. You could... It's 2 Murphs in one. I would buy those for both of my girls, and one for me, and probably one to save in a box. Like... Or someone on Etsy.
Did you manage to get one from someone who went to Comic-Con?
I did. It took a while, but I did, yes.
Okay. Because I was actually going to offer to send you mine if you hadn't.
Oh, you are sweet.
But now it's safe.
No, I have one.
But now I can keep mine on the shelf, so that's good. You notice I didn't offer one to Chrissy.
Well, I'm fine.
That's... My girls, they have all the figurines, except there's no rock. So I have a friend who made a giant rock for us and a giant Murph
nice.
Too. And so we have giant rock, and then we have like my old Janeway, one of those like huge figures, because that was the first one I could dig up from the basement. And so she's accidentally had a transporter accident, and she's huge.
Hey,
so they say
it works.
So
I mean, that works out well though, because that Janeway does have the bun, just like the one in the hologram.
That is true. That is true. Anyways, all right, off topic.
No, that's all right.
They should sell those hats. And
yes.
Going back to what you said about Pike being like, oh yeah, I got one too. He tried so hard this episode. Like, Ensign Mount in this episode, you just want to hug him. Because he did so much to try to make this better and so much work. I mean, this was his downtime too. And what is he doing? Preparing Vulcan delicacies and, trying to smooth things over. And he's he is a good captain. He is a good friend, and I love the new uniform, which Thad, I thought of you when I'm like, oh, new uniform variation somewhere.
I like this. I like this wraparound better than the one from last season. I still don't like the 2 deltas, but that's a whole thing.
I like the color of last one's, but the style of this one's. Next season they'll give us another one.
To be fair, there is literally no time when I don't want to give Anson Mount a hug. But that's a whole other thing.
All right, fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, I have to bring this up because it's illogical, so I'm going to bring it up. Vulcans apparently have zero gravity push-up bras. Is that what we're understanding here?
Well, it was very geometric.
Yeah.
I've been saying that since it came out. I'm just like, holy wow.
Yeah.
Holy wow.
I mean, good for them.
Maybe that's just how their bodies work. I don't know.
Well, I was talking about Amanda, actually.
Oh.
Amanda's
wearing a
outfit
Vulcan bra with her human body. Maybe that's
Amanda would have human body.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, no, those, yes. That was,
Well, if you go back to Paul in Enterprise, she oftentimes, when you see her bareback or you see her in other costumes, or she must have some sort of backless, strapless, anti-gravity something thing going on too. So you know what? More power to them. I would love to not have divots in my shoulders. So let's get on that anti-gravity bra anytime.
I mean, it would make sense. Like, if you have the technology, why wouldn't you?
I agree completely.
Well, okay. Speaking of Amanda and taking the cleavage out of it.
All right.
I'm going to say, well, that sounds brutal. Like, she's only human from the neck up, right? All right, I'm proud of myself for that one.
That was beautiful.
All right. Whew. Anyways, I have to say that I think that Mia Kirshner, who plays this version of Amanda, might be my favorite Amanda. Like, I have heard some people say that, she doesn't look old enough to have Spock, but I'm just going to throw that out because I'm like, you know what? Vulcans, humans age differently. Maybe she has whatever century Botox, clean Vulcan living, like whatever. I love the way she portrays Amanda. She is the fierce, smart, relentless mama bear that I crave. Like when Pike looks at her and goes, "Do I have a choice in the matter?" And she goes, "You do not." Like, boom. That is what I want. And that's what I loved about her portrayal all the way back from when she was in Discovery with both Michael and Spock. She plays this as both an incredibly capable, smart woman who is a diplomat's wife and will use that when she has to, but it's not her first thing because she can handle it. But she is also a mom. She is a legit mom, treating them like her kids. And that is something that we don't see enough of, that kind of relationship to me in Trek. Like, you think about Sisko and Jake, that's beautiful. But like this type of fiercely loyal parenting like that, even with Beverly and Wesley and Jack, we're getting it more now, and maybe it's a sign of the times that we're seeing more of this, but I love, she's got that deep love. And the scene with her and Spock at the end in front of the turquoise, first of all, that's going to be my new screen background because it's gorgeous, that silhouette of the two of them against all the turquoise lights. But when she was talking about what she sacrificed for him and how her journey was so that she could make sure he had the best life. And she did the same thing for Michael. We saw that. That resonated so deeply with me. And that was the Star Trek moment, the core of this episode for me. And all the rest we'll get to with Spock and Chapel and all that. But that was the moment that me as a mother, it just squeezed my heart, because I would do that for my girls in a heartbeat. I would sacrifice anything for myself to make sure they were okay and had what they could have to be the best they could be. And that's a really beautiful portrayal. Yeah. That was just a long thing. Sorry.
Don't be sorry. No, you're the only one right here who has kids to express that. So I totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another reason why you were perfect for this episode.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a very mom-centric episode.
Well, when she looked at him and she goes, "A mother knows," I'm like, oh yeah, like there are things I could pick out. You know, this sounds silly, but we have woods in our backyard. I can pick out if there's a tick crawling up my kid's arm from, 50 feet away, because that's what you do. You just look and you're like, that speck doesn't belong there. That's not a freckle. Like, you just know. You just know. So it was nice to see that relationship and that being honored, and Spock giving it back to her. Like, you don't ever expect as a parent to hear those things said so directly and plainly and honestly, especially not in front of an audience like he does with some of it. That was what Amanda was doing all this for. And to have him realize that and tell her he realized it is really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
So because you mentioned it, I looked up their ages, and yeah, she is 11 years older than Ethan Peck.
Okay.
Actually, no, I'm sorry. I did math backwards. She is 9 years older than Ethan Peck.
Okay, and what's her face that played Alexander's mother in the one from like 20 years ago was younger than Alexander, so the guy playing Alexander, so there you go.
I want to say there was a movie where someone played Samuel L. Jackson's mother and was like 8 years younger than him.
I don't know about that.
I read about that. I don't remember what movie it was. But yeah, no, that's not that. Honestly, yeah, no. 9 years older is not a huge. I mean, obviously, yes. In reality, Amanda would not be 9 years older than Spock. Yeah. But like, as far as actors go, no, that's pretty common.
Yeah.
Well, the women once you're past 40, you're just kind of old in Hollywood, and you get the mother chunk for 20 some years, and then you get the grandma chunk for like 20 some years. So,
unless you're Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah. Well, and that's okay because she deserves everything.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, she does.
And hopefully that is changing as well.
Yeah, I would
hope
hope
it
so.
is.
Yeah. Well, we've got Jerry Ryan, going back to Jerry Ryan again, at 7 of 9 on the bridge, and that is a captaincy role. That is a woman. She is not a mom or a grandma, and that is absolutely fine. So,
and she's not a mom to the crew the way Janeway was.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, she and Raffi are not the cuddly power couple up there. You're not going to Janeway and Chakotay to find your spirit animal and get some coffee. Sorry.
No, that's good. I love it. Love it. So, right. Where was the thing that I was?
We are all over this outline.
I know. Well, we never stick to the outline.
I know. I love that you send it every time and we never follow it.
It's more, honest to God, it's more like, okay, I want to make sure that I can check things off so I don't forget to talk about something important. But
I do the same thing with my own notes for my own show, so I totally get it. But the bacon. I have to say, I wanted bacon after this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Like, man, we're having bacon at some point today.
So here's the question. Is it real bacon?
Given who Pike is, yes.
Yeah.
Where did he get it?
He keeps it in store.
How big is his refrigerator?
Well,
how big is his freezer? Like, okay, I believe 100% Pike is growing his own
we saw it.
He's growing his own herbs. Like, exactly. We saw his setup. That is a great setup. I want it for my own herb garden in the winter.
Oh, yeah.
But as someone who does grow a lot of their own food and does a lot of that, I 100% believe that. Keeping live animals or keeping meat to his quality in a freezer for a super long time is only going to work for so long.
Yeah.
And is Earth still eating actual, like, raised on a farm pig meat, or is that some sort of specialty, or is it lab-grown meat? And then I think there's too many things over there. I understand the whole Spock freaked out in TOS about eating flesh, and that is fair. But at the same time...
But that was literal flesh, too. Yeah. We know that actually came straight from the animal. We saw it.
Yeah.
And that is further down the road when he is a different person, you know? And I know a lot of people who are kosher, but every once in a while cheat with bacon, which doesn't necessarily make them kosher. And you know what? As someone, I have a nut allergy. I have to be careful about what I eat. I have a friend with a vinegar allergy. You know what? Eat what you want. Vinegar. Who cares?
Fascinating. I have never heard of that.
Oh, it's terrible. He can't eat a condiment. He can't go to a sushi restaurant. Like,
there would be so many things you couldn't eat. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, you know what? Just who cares? He's eating something. He's enjoying it. There are way too many variables we don't know about. It was hilarious. I went and had some bacon that night because it looked way too good. That's my feeling.
The thing, and I will say that obviously I have no judgment whatsoever. Anyone who is vegetarian or vegan, that's eat what you want to eat, absolutely. But I also know multiple former vegetarians who have told me that they stopped being vegetarian because of bacon.
Yeah.
I was vegetarian for a while, and mine was bacon and fried chicken because you don't get that texture in anything else. Yeah. That's more what it was.
Well, we know, at least because O'Brien mentioned it, he was talking about how his mother cooked, and Keiko was like, oh, she actually handled meat, and he says yes. So, some people still are, but maybe it is all lab grown. I mean, that's all right.
In Lonely Among Us.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Riker says that they no longer enslave animals for food.
Yes.
And that what they have as meat is actually synthesized from vegetables.
Yeah.
Now, that's 100 years in the future.
Right.
And that also could be not 100% true about all humans everywhere, and just what perhaps
Starfleet
the Rikers
does.
did.
Yeah.
And what Starfleet does.
Yeah.
That said, I just don't think that. I mean, maybe there's just maybe he just gets his bacon from the. We don't know for sure how much food is synthesized in the 23rd century. Although the fact that Pike says never use synthesized herbs tells me that perhaps they do have synthesized versions of everything.
Yeah.
I question whether there would be a meat locker on the Enterprise.
And that, Pike has some sway, and this is a fancy ship, but I don't necessarily know that they're going to put an entire, meat locker in just because he wants it. You got a fireplace, you got to compromise, Pike. Come on now.
And I'm also thinking there was the episode where he made ribs for everybody, too. And I'm wondering if that's actual meat or if it is synthesized.
Does he synthesize the raw component and then he tweaks it and cooks it and makes it his own? Because how many of us are going out to our backyards and getting the chicken for dinner? Where most of us are not. Yeah. And even if you are going to a restaurant, they're not going out to their coop out back most of the time. And if they do, it's special, it's fancy, it's pricey, it's something to be. It's a foodie thing, which is 100% fine, and I like that kind of dining too. But I'm thinking to myself, he probably maybe he has a small freezer or some sort of other cryogenic storage, or he's got a transporter that's just full of food supplies that he brings up and down.
I was going to bring that up.
If it works for people, it would work for. It would work for bacon.
Yeah.
Well, he uses bacon so often, I feel like he has some sort of bacon connection, because it was in his omelet last season too, wasn't it? So, bacon and waffle.
I think it's got to be synthesized, personally.
Or at least some of the time. I'm sure when he goes back to Earth, he stocks up on stuff. Just like when he goes to Vulcan or wherever. He's going to...
Now, here's the question. Would Pike possibly synthesize the meat and then smoke it himself?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yes.
And I think he has an entire cabinet of his own personal spice rubs and concoctions and marinades and all that. Yeah, he's got a whole chunk of that. That's, Pike Special #1, and he doesn't tell anybody all the ingredients, all but one, so he can have that extra flair.
I saw a thing, it was last season, someone said that the reason Pike and Kirk have different quarters is that when Kirk first stepped into the quarters, this smells like barbecue. I need a different quarters.
So I'm thinking about this, right? He says they're en route to Vulcan. We don't know from where. Maybe they just came back from Earth. It's possible that
so he just got a supply of bacon.
Of real bacon or, lab-grown bacon. And the same thing with the ribs. I don't remember where they were when he did that. But I think you're right. Maybe he's got a small stash for special occasions. Who knows?
All right, if they're at sub-impulse power, they're en route from Vulcan from somewhere else in the Vulcan system. Otherwise...
To Vulcan.
They'd be there forever.
I know that. But I mean... I'm sure there's human markets on Vulcan. You know, there's
Right.
Yeah.
You're more likely to find a slab of human good bacon on Vulcan than you are on, say, you know, somewhere out in the Delta planet.
Well,
Delta
yeah.
Right.
But yeah, exactly. So
No, you'd have like the Leola root bacon.
Yeah.
okay, funny complete aside. My parents left for a trip and sent me to their house to clean out whatever they had left in their fridge, right?
Love it.
And I think Chrissy is seeing where this is going. So I go over there and there, you know, there's the usual like little bit of cheese and half drank orange juice and some stuff. And I open up, and my dad is a huge foodie. Like he is a Pike level cook kind of guy.
Nice.
Has his own spice rubs. That's why I relate a lot to Pike in there. But I go to open his drawer and I pull out, and I'm like, Leola root? Oh, it's ginger root. Like, it was my first thought when I emptied his drawer the other day. I'm like, why does Dad have Leola? Oh, it's a ginger.
I'd rather have the second most nutritious food in the quadrant.
But what's so funny is that I brought it home, and I have the magnet from the Voyager documentary of the Leola root and the Neelix hat on my fridge. And I pulled it out, and I opened the door, and they're like right next to each other, and I'm just laughing. And my husband looks at me, he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Never mind." Like, I love you, but never mind. So I'm glad I got to share it with you guys. You're the right kind of people for that story.
I totally appreciate that. Yes.
All right, but back to the episode. I like that one of the things that Spock does when he's human is, one, he reaches out to Pike, who is obviously a close friend. We see that even before he's human, when he's distracted and he opens up to him about the dinner and all that. These are, and we know from so many different moments, but just from the Quality of Mercy last year, these two mean a lot to each other already. And so he reaches out to someone he knows he can trust and be more vulnerable with immediately, and he goes to do something that he was already doing, but do it as a human to compare it. Is there a more Spock thing?
No.
Like, he was cooking as a Vulcan, now he's cooking as a human. Like, he's gathering data even as a full human Spock, and
he's a scientist.
It's just great. And and I love the two of them together. Like, I feel like if they were really hanging out, this would be a lot of the dynamic between the actual actors as well. So it's just, it's so natural. They're having a good time doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. While we're talking about the cooking, Pike mentions offhand that he salted the stuff because his kitchen was hotter than one on Vulcan. How is that possible?
So I thought I had the
thought that
same
too.
thought, and then my mind went to somewhere else. Okay, Vulcan is much hotter than Earth.
Right.
We know this. Because of that, they probably air condition their cooking areas so that food doesn't spoil.
So you're cooking in the fridge.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I could see that. Yeah.
I just thought, we're so close to his wood-fired stove /
that's what it
campfire
is.
fireplace that, it's so hot there where he was storing it. It had to be salted.
We just spent all that time talking about the food. Where is he getting the wood for the wood fire stove?
Okay, that's absolutely synthesized.
Yeah, I kind
I'm
of assume
thinking it's a hologram, just like how he changes his background of his window.
I doubt he's actually belching smoke into his quarters all
I'm
day
sure
long.
not. Yeah.
And that much of an open flame on a starship seems like a candle. Fine. A giant, less controlled, doesn't even have an enclosure all the way around it fireplace just seems like a no-no, even for Christopher Pike.
Yeah, no, I always assumed that was a hologram too.
So before we get away from the bacon, I want to briefly touch on the fact that there are some people who are very concerned about the bacon because Leonard Nimoy was Jewish.
Okay, well, I can take care of that because didn't Shatner say in his memoirs that every morning he was absolutely sickened by the smell of the bacon egg sandwiches that Nimoy brought in?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah. This is... So, I have complained about the people on Twitter who need to find fault with everything. These are...
Yeah.
These are the revert, these are the same, it's the same situation from the other side of the aisle. If that makes sense.
I think.
These are not the people who think Star Trek is too woke. These are the people who think Star Trek is not woke enough.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, I see
But
what you're
I've definitely seen some people saying, well, because... I've seen some people straight up saying, well, it's because Spock is Jewish, it's offensive to have him eat bacon. Well, one, Spock is not Jewish.
Yeah.
Two...
He could be if Amanda is. It follows in the mother's line, but they don't practice.
Okay, we don't know Spock is... Okay, I will say, we do not know Spock is
Sorry,
Jewish.
I opened up too easily.
Two, there are many Jews who do not keep kosher.
Yeah.
Correct.
And that's a personal decision that anyone makes.
We've already talked about it this episode, yeah.
Right. The... Three, yes, it's true that Leonard Nimoy included some of his Jewishness into the character of Spock. That's absolutely true. That does not mean that Spock himself is Jewish. And I feel like if you're watching this show and then immediately getting mad because Spock eats bacon and Leonard Nimoy was Jewish and this somehow makes Strange New Worlds anti-Semitic, you are trying too hard to find problems with the shows you're watching.
Yeah. Yeah, my first thought was, Vulcans are vegetarians or vegans. And then my second thought was, he's not Vulcan right now.
Yeah, so here's
And then
the
he
thing,
says, why am I so nauseated? Which maybe indicates...
Well, I think that's just because he ate so much of it.
Right, but it could also indicate this is something his body isn't used to dealing with. Yeah.
So, yes, there are people also complaining about the fact that Vulcans are vegetarians, and it's ridiculous that just because he's human, he would still be a vegetarian. You're thinking of it from a human perspective, is the problem there. Humans are vegetarians for any number of reasons, but Vulcans are not vegetarians for necessarily the same reason that humans are. Vulcans are vegetarians because they don't want to eat meat, they don't like meat, etc. Meat repulses them. Now, there are certainly vegetarians who would tell you the same thing, but it is not a cultural thing for humans. It is more some humans choose not to eat meat. Vulcans, it appears to be more... it does appear to be biological in this instance for Vulcans, that meat repulses them. They do not wish to eat meat because they don't like meat. Because they wouldn't
have evolved with eating meat, because there would have been no way to maintain its freshness on a hot planet like that.
Until they came up with those air-conditioned kitchens,
So,
Vulcans are herbivorous. So...
Better. That's a better explanation, yes.
Yeah. So...
A better word.
It's funny because some people were saying this as a sort of, I guess vegetarianism is biological now. In this case, I think it actually is. And now, because... I don't know if we ever specifically saw... Yeah, so we know that Vulcans
eat meat in Enterprise, but it's the crazy Vulcans who are
it's the
not doing well. Yes, the Vakaskator.
Or was it the zombies?
No, it's not the zombies. Well, I'm sure zombies ate flesh too, but that was not what I was. I was talking about the ones they come to dinner and Archer's like, "There's meat in that," and they're like, "Yeah, it's cool." But for all we know, they're taking enzymes. I mean, Malcolm takes an enzyme to eat pineapple. How many people take lactate or whatever it is to help them with dairy intolerance now? I mean, this whole thing would be like me going, oh my goodness, I didn't see a kiwi and a strawberry on this spread this time, and there's always a kiwi and a strawberry in Star Trek food, and now I'm so mad because they didn't go to this internal... Really, guys? Come on. Yeah. I mean, somewhere between all of the glorious, beautiful, delicious, makes me want to eat it food in this one, we go to all the weird geometric Play-Doh food that we're going to see later in TOS, and there is some of that, like... Jorg has a cool thing on Twitter up close with some of the Vulcan dishes that are very geometric and jello-y looking. So we're getting there. But come on, again, if this is what you're watching for, why? Yeah. Don't you have better things? Like, be happy. This is not a big deal.
The way I see this is, one, we know Vulcans... Again, I'm going to just straight up say my headcanon is that Vulcans are herbivorous. Two, we know that Spock took nasal suppressants as a Vulcan, so he never smelled the bacon before.
And that is a good smell.
Yes.
Right. Three, humans are not herbivorous. Humans are omnivorous. So now that he is fully human, he has the ability and to taste meat, the ability to eat meat, the biological ability to eat meat, and beyond that, the human sense of when you smell meat, it smells good. So I don't actually have a problem at all with Spock eating bacon. I like that scene.
This is fantastic.
Oh, people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And no, it's not anti-Semitic.
No.
I mean, okay, I will say that as someone who is not Jewish, so is it really my right to say whether something is or is not anti-Semitic? I don't personally think it is.
I don't think it was at all intended to be either.
There we go. Yeah.
I mean, it was supposed to be bacon is popular and everybody likes it these days kind of thing.
Yeah. And again, there are many Jews who abstain from pork because that is their religion, their culture, etc. There are also many Jews who do not. That is their personal choice as well. But I do not believe that Spock eating bacon is inherently any message against Judaism at all. I would like to think that no Star Trek show would be consciously anti-Semitic, but beyond that, I certainly don't think a show run by Akiva Goldsman is going to be anti-Semitic.
I think it just comes down to the fact that liking bacon is a part of popular culture these days. I mean, I have kids at school who are wearing shirts with bacon jokes on them, and everything is bacon. Like it's I think more a product of the time than it is anything else. Bacon is trendy and popular right now.
Yeah, I remember in the 2000s, bacon was huge. Like, there were bacon-flavored everything. Was like
there were
all the
Band-Aids
rage.
that looked like bacon.
Yep, had some of those.
I had some.
Remember Jon Stewart and the Baconaise on the Daily Show?
See?
And he's Jewish, so there you go.
Yeah.
Also, any of y'all ever had chocolate-covered bacon?
I have. I don't care for it.
It's a State Fair staple.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, we can move on from the bacon. I just wanted to address that. Just because, for once, this time it was mostly the trolls. It was mostly not the trolls that usually complain about Star Trek, but the other kind of trolls.
Well, can we talk about some fabulous people then? Can we talk about the trio that went into interdimensional space and how much I think that... I had a feeling. Like,
I mean, yes.
We've been talking about how we see the friendships. Mm-hmm. Could we have had a better friendship moment than this is? Look at this secondary trio. Like, you want to talk about, we've got Pike and Una and Spock. We have a secondary trio here, and it's amazing. Mm-hmm. Like, I love how you know and you feel that they are truly, genuinely friends. They're going to do this for each other. They're going to push each other when it needs to be and support each other all the way through. And I am here for more and more episodes that have the three of them doing hijinks and also doing serious mission stuff like this. Oh, yes. Bring on I think it was somebody posted on Twitter, one of the three of them, I can't remember which one, that they were the fabulous space babes of the episode. And I was like, You know what? Yeah, take that on. That's amazing. And that set with the VR wall, I know it made them all nauseous, but wow, was it cool looking.
I didn't know that about that, but that's, well, they just need some Leola root, so.
Exactly.
So I love that, but we don't know anything about these Kerkovians, I guess we'll call them, but they seem very computerized-ish. They seem very logical, for lack of a better term. Mm-hmm. And I realize this is a story point, so this is a nitpick, but it would have made more sense if Chapel had just said, you put him together incorrectly, he's a hybrid of two species, here's the information on the other species that he is. And then they would have gone, oh, okay, that's like a binary thing, I can understand that.
Yeah.
So that's it. I'm putting that out there, and then I'm done with complaining about that, because it is a beautiful scene where she's trying to explain it.
I am fascinated by non-corporeal beings that name themselves after colors.
Yeah, and that they weren't actually the colors they named themselves after.
Yes.
Right.
Well, we don't know. I mean, we could say that that's the universal translator.
Sure.
Just finding the closest appropriate word. But yeah, I would have liked it better if they were the color that they said they were. Then it would have made sense that, like, we're going to call you blue because you're blue. But...
Well, it seemed like, for as precise, and it doesn't surprise me that they're a Vulcan neighbor, because they seemed kind of Vulcan-like. Mm-hmm. Like, this is the acceptable time, these are the acceptable rules, these are, and that made sense. But it would make sense to me that if they were presenting themselves and maybe they didn't have a choice. Maybe this is just, but I kind of felt like when they were sending the visual data through, they had more of a choice about how we saw them, and I would have just made it match. But again, that's me.
Yeah. They're all colorblind.
But I like how they use the VR wall. Like, there are a couple moments where you see Ortega's like ducking under yellow, the firefly ball of yellow. Yeah. So it actually feels like there's weight there, and all of that there's stuff. Like, she's not going to just fly through it. And I thought that it was so neat, the depth that you felt of it, and that kind of mirrored floor, especially when you're seeing the two shots of the one where Chapel is pleading her case, and then she is told the other two to turn their backs, and they're peeking over. Like, you can see all of this all around, and it feels so alien. And I love that with the VR wall. Sometimes the VR wall doesn't do it for me, but this time I think it really worked. Probably because it was much less looking like something we already know. And they just got creative with it and made it look cool, and it did. And it really worked.
I hope they figure out a way to do that without making people feel sick.
But, that's me. I can't go on roller coasters or spinny rides or even swings much anymore because, I'm old. So part of that is probably just the fact that old people's ears do that no matter what you're doing. Like, it doesn't have to be anything extreme to make that happen. So.
I thought it was interesting, and this is something we have to run into with these prequel shows. We know that this is going to be fixed. So there is a bit of, what would you call it, anticlimactic? I don't know. The potential danger isn't there because we know that Spock goes back to being a Vulcan. But it's a great example of how it's the journey that's important, not the destination, as Harry Kim might say. So I just, it's okay to sometimes know what the end of the story is going to be. Spoilers are not the end of the world. Not that was a spoiler.
I mean, you're going to go see Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I know how that ends. Not well.
Well, I mean, we would never have any World War II fiction, right?
Titanic would not have been a top-grossing movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Although apparently some people didn't know it sank.
That doesn't surprise me.
That's their fault. I'm sorry.
As a historian, that doesn't surprise me.
It's on the poster.
Yeah, I know.
So, I'm sorry, if you went to a movie and you didn't even bother to look at the poster to see, that's on you.
Also, the very first scene is finding the ship under the Atlantic, so you know.
Mm-hmm.
While we're still in the fabulous trio, before we go off more towards that journey, can I just say how I loved Ortegas' line about the analogies and about how they're never actually really like that. Yes. They're like, it's like the ocean.
Yes, I did like that.
I'm like, she's so true. And I really appreciate Melissa Navia's delivery because I feel like she's the one we've seen the least, but especially in this episode, all her little moments, like when she's saying, am I going to be the one who says no to the crazy maneuver? Yep. Of course not. This is not actually how this goes. Or when she's talking about moving the one, I can't do it. The one eyebrow is the only muscle on your face. I really, I wanted to call that out because I feel like it is so consistent, and I love that Ortegas is the one who sometimes says the things. That is drawing the eyebrows.
I can't do it.
I can't do it either.
I always move. I always move both.
I know.
I
end up looking constipated.
I can do my left one a little more than the right one, but the right one still moves.
Yeah. I just like that Ortegas is often saying the things out loud that we are all thinking in our heads. Yes. And I really appreciate that being part of her character. And I think it's important in that trio to have somebody like that. I think that's important in most friend groups, to have the one who's just going to call stuff out like that. And I really appreciated that little bit of nuance to her character, even in this episode where she is not the main focus.
I agree.
All right, so are we talking about the hookup then? Because we're... I mean, that is the conclusion of this part of the plot, right?
I mean, we should touch on giving Spock the talk about puberty.
Yes, so much snacking.
So this is another thing that people, again, I'm always going to bring up the people on Twitter. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all right.
This is another thing people on Twitter are telling that the writers don't understand Star Trek because Vulcans do have emotions and they're very strong and they have to control them. And yes, but human emotions are different. Just because Spock is good at controlling Vulcan emotions doesn't mean he's immediately going to know how to control human emotions, which are not going to be the same as Vulcan emotions.
Yeah.
Well, I think that, like they were saying, Vulcans feel everything, like, so much more intensely.
Yeah.
But for some reason in my head, I've always thought it doesn't come on as quickly. I feel like humans experience that knee-jerk, immediate emotional reaction where, like, maybe we go up to, like, level 8 or whatever, but we do it in, like, half a second, whereas Vulcans are going to take, like, I don't know, a couple minutes to get there, but then they're going to be at, like, 110%. So they tamp it down. And then because it's a slower rise, maybe they have more control. That could be completely my headcanon right there. But
works for me.
Yeah, they're definitely not the same thing. And you know what? Yeah. I loved that scene, and I loved how she's so businesslike, but she's also warmer. Like, she's a different La'an than she was last season, and I like that character growth. And the two of them have been through some stuff together. I mean, he came and rescued her this season, so it's nice to see that dynamic again between them having a little moment. It was funny.
Yeah.
And just her just ignoring when he says that he was also feeling strange feelings. That was good too.
And so many snacks.
So much snacks.
So many snacks. And
it's true.
He's scarfing the grapes later on in Pike's quarters, which is so funny.
All right, let's talk about the hookup. Or should we talk about T'Pring at all?
Oh, actually, yeah. So,
we should maybe talk about,
thing.
The main plot of the episode.
The person he's cheating on with the hookup.
To quote Friends, they were on a break.
No, you're right. I'm being... But I didn't even think of that.
The person he is very much disrespecting by not telling that he's a human, and she's completely 100% right about this. Also, he's been lying to her the whole time, just about things that don't matter. We talked about this when we were talking about Season 1. There was no reason for him to lie about his quarters being redecorated instead of just the way he lived.
So,
yeah,
they touch hands when she gets off the transporter. She should have immediately known. Because we know that there's that touch telepathy. Oh, well, that too.
Yeah, we also know the touching hands is like, getting it on in Vulcan.
Practically.
And it's not in humans, so, yeah.
But, I mean, they have that bond, so she should have immediately known something was wrong.
She holds his hand later, too, during the ceremony.
Yeah.
So.
After she's had time to notice he's being a little off.
Weird, yeah.
Yeah, also, how did she not, yes, there's the fact that he's not behaving like Spock.
Okay, but at the same time, she does care for him. She has chosen and bucked her family to want to marry this guy. She really wants to believe him, and he's not doing anything that she's seen yet that's off. She doesn't know all the things he's still hiding. And I feel like she's so willing, and she says, I have always accepted you. I have always been like this. It's him. It's him feeling that fear, that anxiety that comes along with all that. And I know that there's been a lot of discussion as well about this being one of those biracial, separate them out, it doesn't work like that. And there's discussion on that too. And I think other episodes of Star Trek that is more pertinent. This one, yes, it is separated out. I am not biracial in a way that would at all let me have the right to speak on this. But I feel like that wasn't the point of this.
No.
The point of this was the other relationships and fun. And I hope that Star Trek does better at addressing the other part of that. I don't think that's what this was.
No, this was like, evil Kirk and good Kirk.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, T'Pring, she is 100% right. And I think now that she's reassessing, and I think she probably did a lot of just chalking it up to the accident. People in relationships are oftentimes more blind to what's going on in the relationship than people from the outside. You don't have that full perspective. I mean, and they obviously talk all the time over subspace, so she is right in her feelings, and I felt for her in that last scene.
Yeah.
I think that this whole portrayal of T'Pring has been so nuanced, so beautiful, so well done, and it adds so much to the original TOS. Like, this episode in particular, like, now that you see this, you wonder, well, how are they going to get from where we are now to where they are in TOS? Well, this is how.
Yeah.
Like, this is how. And one of the things we like about our characters is when they are fallible and we see some of their not great decisions and how they come back from it. Well, this is one of those opportunities. Spock is making a very human decision right now, which is not to say that's good or bad, but it's definitely not being the kindest to T'Pring. So how is he or isn't he eventually going to come back from this?
So longtime listeners will recall that I have been very conflicted about this portrayal of T'Pring, because if you take Amok Time on its own, I have always read her as like a feminist, and not that she's not with this portrayal. That's not the point. But I always read that as she had no choice in the matter, so she figured out a way within the Vulcan traditions to give herself the choice to take the power back, however you want to put it. And so I felt like this portrayal where this is a long-term relationship, where they actually know each other, where it is obviously her choice, I felt like that undermined what was in Amok Time. But they fixed it in this one by saying how there's so much of a cultural, it would be so difficult to break it off. Yeah, Amanda and Spock's explanation about the seriousness of the engagement explains why T'Pring couldn't simply end it. To read my notes exactly. So like I've come around. I think that it wasn't a matter of consistency. It was just like, I'm trying to, because at first you're like, oh, well, she's just a jerk. She's just being terrible to him. But she was stuck. They both were.
I've always thought Vulcan women are interesting characters because a lot of the foundational parts of like Vulcan femininity were all written by men a chunk of time ago. And I think it is interesting seeing as someone who looks a great deal at Enterprise, who's kind of the middle, like the end of the old era before this new one. And they did a lot with Vulcans, and a female Vulcan with T'Pol. You see some of that starting in there, and then you see some awful regressions, which was a moment of the time, right? Yeah. But what we're seeing now, like, and I think about like Tarina, in Discovery, and how that is Navarre, I know, and so far out in the future, but like we have this whole timeline to get there, and I like seeing T'Pring's whole story and seeing the growth. If she had been the same now as we see her in TOS, it would have been a disappointment, and she's one of my favorite like secondary players in this series, because I think it has done nothing but justice to her. So I'm glad you came around, Chrissy. I'm so glad. And her costumes, like, I could not pull them off because I am not her body shape, nor do I have the awesome Vulcan hair. But my God, are those gorgeous. And there's a behind the scenes in the Ready Room this week that I'm sure will be out on Paramount Plus once this goes up, that talks about how they 3D printed like her shoulder plates and stuff on that.
Oh, cool.
Like, everything T'Pring has ever had on is just gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So, sorry, that's just my little thing there. I want to just play around in her closet, even though nothing would fit. I want to play around in a lot of Vulcan closets, though.
So, another thing about Species, right? Amanda and the tea ceremony. Okay. I get the idea of suppressing your own pain, but there's a physical reaction. I mean, I can understand that. The repression thing and using that. People do that, okay? But if, let's say that that's boiling and that's a metal pot, like it kind of reminded me of a Japanese teapot, right? By the time Spock was done, he shouldn't have been able to remove that from his hands. It should have, without tearing his skin. Which, again, not the point. I get it. But there you go.
I like to think future medicine, like Chapler and Benga put some sort of like fake skin, like a magician's thumb goes over. Yeah. So he had a little bit of cushion in there, and maybe perhaps gave him as much of a local anesthetic as he could handle while still picking up that teapot. But that's headcanon.
Yeah, and that doesn't explain Amanda, but I'll take it. Maybe she does the same thing.
No, it does not. And it does not explain, no. Unless maybe she just has really calloused hands now, because she does this every morning for Sarek.
All right. I'm wondering if it's not so hot they would actually burn his hands.
Yes, I'm assuming it's a teapot, like you're picking up the kettle off the stove, and that may not be.
So, like...
There's a flame under it.
Right, but we don't know how hot the flame is.
It might be something non-conductive.
Because there are definitely levels of heat.
Yeah.
There are, because... And certain humans can withstand more than others, especially depending on how used they are. Like, the average chef, for instance, can hold much hotter things than I could without being incredibly uncomfortable and possibly even screaming in pain. But their skin would still burn at the same temperature.
Right.
They're just used to that heat. So I think it's something like that, where it's like, it's incredibly uncomfortable to hold, but it does not actually physically harm him.
That was my thought, too. I like that each Vulcan family has its own tea recipe. That seems super logical, but yeah.
I just wonder, like, so if T'Pring and Spock got married, would each of their family teas go together to make a new family tea? Does that only happen if you have a child from that union, and then that child has the new tea? Like,
what if the two teas don't mix well?
Right, exactly. Or what if, like, suddenly one is, like, you have triple hibiscus in there or something, and you're just like, whoa! Whatever Vulcan tea is.
Well, it's not mint, we know
Too
that.
much Leola root in the Vulcan tea, or whatever it is,
It probably passes on the...
I want to see this flowchart.
Actually, you know what, though? The fact that he has to make it for her says to me that maybe it's a recipe that's passed on the female line. Because he has to justify, coming into her family. You don't see her trying to justify coming into his.
Yeah, I was wondering that, too. Like, she still has to do the mind meld part, but she doesn't have to do his tea or, like...
Yeah.
Because she still has to do the, hey, this is everything that's wrong with you. So that would make more sense if it was just passed down on one side.
Yeah. Who knows?
But and we never see, do we see same-sex relationships on Vulcan? Because that could be interesting.
It's mentioned in one of the post-Enterprise books. In fact, Sarek's parents show up in one of the post-Enterprise books. God, I think I talked about this book a couple weeks ago, too.
You did.
Yeah. And there's a line in that they're talking about how they were essentially a love match. And she goes on to explain, she's talking to Archer, I think, that the man to whom she was betrothed as a child, she says something to the effect of, showed a marked preference for his own sex. And then she goes on to say, and since Vulcan was not dealing with a population crisis at the time, I decided to release him from our engagement. So it's so very Vulcan,
Yes. Well, and I'm sure if this tea ceremony was real and it had a lineage thing, like, because what would happen if it follows down and they only have one child and the child is male? Does the tea die out? Like, does it go? That I am sure the Vulcans
goes
have
to the
planned
sister's line.
all the contingencies.
Yes.
And maybe there's like a tea house that's for dead teas that no longer have a family line, and you're going, if you want that particular tea, you're going to the tea house, the dead tea house.
It's like the "Are you missing Tivana" section of the Adagio Tea website.
Woo! All right, we've been doing this for a while, haven't we?
Yeah. So. The ritual of awareness. Amanda tries not to be cruel and gets criticized for it. And
I love that first thing that she says, though, is you could visit more. Like,
oh, that's so human.
A human mom thing.
But I think my favorite part of that is Savette saying, T'Pril is very good at creating awareness.
See, he's used to smoothing everything over in their face.
You can feel that he gets a lot of awareness on a regular basis.
Oh, yes. Well, and you know, what I have to say about what she says to Spock, she's well thought out and reasoned. And, like, I don't agree with her, but I see how without a fuller picture of who he is, that is a reasonable thing. Especially, she is doing this as a mother. She wants T'Pring to find someone who's going to be good to her, who's going to make her happy, who's going to continue her life in a positive way. And if she doesn't feel this about the person she's picking, she needs to be convinced. So, is she unnecessarily harsh and cruel? Yes. Is this very Vulcan? Yeah. Is she completely wrong? No, she is not. It's just a very differing point of view.
Yeah.
I'm really glad I didn't have to go through that ritual to get married. Is low on my list of things to do is have people read me a list of my faults. Like, you know what? That was another real mother moment right there too. When T'Pril says about T'Pring, well, T'Pring already knows all the areas she can improve in. Like, she has made her aware of that. But that is that's a mother's thing too. Like, you do push your kids at a growing edge, hopefully in a gentler, more kinder way. But that's your job, is to push them and help them grow and make them better and have them have the confidence and the support to do things they haven't done before. We just don't usually do it quite as brutally as that.
Ideally.
Yeah.
Also, like, ideally, when your children are adults, you wouldn't then still tell them that, you know, insert everything that they're doing here is terrible.
Yeah.
Unless they're literally doing something terrible.
Yes.
Like, we come back again. If they're a Nazi, you can tell them they're terrible.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, like, it's just such a different dynamic, though. And I hadn't thought about it in the way of how I want my adult relationship with my parents to be until I became a parent myself, and realized that the dynamics shift, but they're never really completely different. Yeah. And I think that's something that this whole episode shows. You know, you can shift things, but the dynamics are not going to be different. T'Pring and T'Pril are probably not going to ever want to hang out for long amounts of time together. They're probably not going to see eye to eye. Does that mean that they're not family and they don't care about each other? No, but it's a dynamic to be aware of for sure. And I loved when T'Pring came on the ship and she's like, Spock, I have been with my mother for multiple days. I am done with formality. Like, that is very honest as well. And that's what makes this episode so good, is we get all the humor and the silliness, and then we get lines like that where everybody just relates. There is somebody in your life who you feel that way about. And that's what makes this such a good episode, is that really careful balance.
Yeah. Props to the writer, whose name I didn't look up. But
This was Catherine Lynn and Henry Alonzo Myers.
Ah, okay. Yep. Good stuff.
Oh, and while we're talking about the behind-the-scenes people, can I make a quick call-out to how awesome the scoring in this episode was, and the music, and how we hear the Amok Time every once in a while, very subtly, like, when T'Pring's mom first walks in, that's what's playing in the background. Like, it is just beautiful and subtle, but I can't wait for this season's soundtrack, because the first season soundtrack... Ooh, Nami Melaman, you are a genius. This one...
And hopefully we won't have as long to wait.
Yeah.
I know. I want that to be my soundtrack of the fall. Let's finish the season, and then let's cruise into the fall on that soundtrack. And the way she brings back themes and motifs and like little characters, it is gorgeous. I cannot wait to see what this woman does with music in the next decades, because she's just starting, and it's already so good.
I can't wait.
I do actually want to talk about the writers for a second, now that I looked up who they were, because there's a reason we all liked this episode so much. Catherine Lynn has one other writing credit on Star Trek. It's the Lower Decks episode Wedge Douche.
Oh, perfect.
And Henry Alonzo Myers is part of the Strange New Worlds writers room, but he also was one of the writers of Spock Amok.
Oh, Perfect.
So that makes
yes.
perfect sense for this episode.
Can we hopefully have him already set and written for episode 5 of season 3, which is was going to start filming in May? And, to know that would be the midway point, because I have to say, when I'm like, we're 5 episodes, we're halfway done? Oh, it was like a glass half empty moment. And then this episode made it a glass half full, because it was a beautiful midpoint. Just like some joy in the middle of all of the everything else. This is a good flavor for halfway through.
Well, I think it helps this time. We are halfway done, but I'm still super looking forward to it, because I know in 2 episodes we have the Lower Decks crossover.
Oh my god, yes.
And then after that we get the musical, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Can I
less
say I'm
enthused about
sad that I'm going to be in the woods when the musical one drops, because I am going to have to hold off for like 3.5 days.
Oh no!
Because
So
I'm
you're going into the woods for the musical?
I am into the woods, and we can pull that one back to Robbie Duncan McNeil, because that was his first Broadway role. So look at us with all these connections.
And wasn't Chris Pine in the movie?
He was.
Yes, he was.
There you go.
One of the princes.
Yeah, are you sure you're not
So we
just
keep
going to like
avoiding
drive
talking
to
about the
a
hookup.
close McDonald's and watch it in the parking lot on your phone?
No, we have one car, and
Oh, I
Wi-Fi
tease.
it would be a long drive for me to get to somewhere that I would get the Wi-Fi. I can occasionally download some audio, but the video would never.
Yeah.
Would never. So it will possibly be streaming once we cross the big bridge into civilization on the way home, but a lot of that depends on the state of my children after 2 weeks in the woods. But that night, before I go to bed, both of the episodes I missed, and then I can go back and listen to all the podcasts I usually listen to afterwards and all that. So
Nice.
I am
Yes, we have a
really
lot to look
glad,
forward
though, that, because the musical one's episode 9, I
9.
believe. Yeah. I am unavailable 2 weekends in August, and thankfully neither one of those are the Strange New Worlds, or neither one of those are the Lower Decks or the musical episode.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't get, that would be hilarious if we came to the musical episode and Chrissy had to talk about it without me.
Yeah, I would wait. I would just be like, we're going to have a late episode because I have nothing to say about this. I don't think I'm going to hate it. It's just not my favorite genre, let's say. All right, so Chaplin Spock, our thing. Good for them.
Yes.
Okay, can I say my favorite part about this scene was when he asks her, what does this mean? And she goes, I don't know, shut up. Like, that was the most in-character moment right there, those 2 lines, and nobody else could have pulled it off the way that Jess Bush did.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
like, just that was perfect delivery. And I guess part of me is like, we know this isn't going to be Endgame. So, like, how much energy do you put in it? I get that. But I like the dynamic. I love what they're doing with Chapel in here. It, again, enriches everything that we saw of her, the bit that we did in TOS. And we knew that eventually it was probably going to happen in this series.
Yeah.
Maybe we just got it over with and now we see. Like, the aftermath might be way more exciting than all of this tension and buildup.
Yeah.
So I am reserving the right. I think it was well done. I think it was earned. I think they've built it up. Their chemistry is undeniable. I would like to see where it goes next.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And there has been... Okay. People who are concerned about how do you get from this to the original series. First of all, I am now absolutely sure that she was not just bringing him soup. Okay. That's there's no question in my mind now. But it's a pretty straightforward thing. I mean, they have a relationship or fling or however it ends up being, however long and however serious it ends up being. He ends it because he gets all Vulcan and realizes he shouldn't be doing this. She goes off to work with Corby. She gets engaged to Corby because, maybe he's a rebound. Maybe she is actually in love with him. It's not, And then she ends up back on the Enterprise because Starfleet is like, we're reassigning you to the Enterprise again. And you're not going to say no to being on the flagship even if you are uncomfortable with the first officer. And voila, we have TOS. It's not
Especially
unreasonable.
Mbenga is no longer chief medical officer because for whatever reason they push him off. They're going to like, no, you not only have what we need for this job, you have the institutional knowledge of the job.
Yeah.
So tough luck. This is where you're going. So I can follow that for sure.
Yeah.
And special little mini shout out to Mbenga, who might very well be becoming my favorite character of this show, which I was surprised about. But God, every moment that man is on screen, he is magnetic, and I just want more of him all the time. So that's not his episode, but I adore him, and I adore the portrayal.
Agreed.
Oh, all right.
So,
what did we miss?
We missed some things that the internet will tell us about, I'm sure. But I think we covered the big ones. We talked about Spock. If we hadn't talked about Spock, this episode would have been a real miss.
Oh, I know what we forgot to talk about. We forgot to talk about the mic drop moment of Chapel and the Vulcan Fellowship guy.
Oh, yes. That was so good.
That is absolutely an amazing scene too, and I literally went yes after she was done talking. She's like, your fellowship is not ready for me. Boop, hang up. And his face, like, as much as a Vulcan shows surprise, when she said that and was going to hang up, his face was as much Vulcan surprise as you ever get. And it was perfect.
Very much reminded me of Star Trek 2009 when Spock walks out and leaves that incredibly withering live long and prosper.
Yes. Oh, yes. And I do appreciate, speaking of Spock, one more tiny little thing here, how they made Ethan Peck hold his own actual models of his Spock ears in this episode.
Yes, I was wondering, I was like, does it have to just be the regular prosthetics? Because there would be no reason to make other ones, That's beautiful. I can say, like, as an academic, to say to somebody, I've done a thing that's important to you, and you don't. I've done a thing that's important to you, and you can read about it when my paper's published next year. That's like the best. I mean, you just can't beat that as an academic to say to somebody that you don't like and who's been difficult and all of that. Yeah.
Well, it was so perfect because she was giving it back to him in such a Vulcan way, and then ended it in the most human way, and that's fantastic.
Yep.
It's great.
This was a huge episode. Okay.
I truly loved this episode. It's not my favorite of the season. That's still tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. But I did really like this episode.
This one is high up too. Like I said at the beginning, I really liked having this moment of levity and everything. I like having some of these that just feel like a popsicle on a hot summer day. But this one, well, that's what I told somebody that Spock Amok is to me, because it's so just. Sometimes you just need a popsicle, and that's all you want, and you don't need anything else. You don't want ice cream; that's too much. You just want a popsicle. And this one I feel is more like the ice cream. It's got all that joy and that fun, but it's got some depth to it too. So we've got the 2 5th episodes matching with like that. But I really like this one, and this season has been, for me, I've had 3 of them that I've went, oh, this is a classic episode. Oh, this is a really good one. This is a classic episode. And I feel that we've talked about, 7 and 9 coming up with Lower Decks and the musical. We have the potential for 5 or more of these episodes to be episodes that we think are essential to Star Trek.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
We might be having a break because of the actors' strike, but what we're getting is still so high quality and wonderful.
Yes.
And if they have to do a clip show at some point, it'll be much better than Shades of Grey.
We're still getting more Star Trek than we got after 2005.
Good point.
And with a little bit more breaks in between, maybe you guys won't have such of a breakneck schedule, because your bonus content's super fun too, and it is nice.
We can talk about the books as soon as they come out for once.
Oh wow,
hey,
yeah.
There you go.
Assuming I can find the time to read them as soon as they come out. Is it exam week? No, okay.
Oh, speaking of this sort of thing, do you think Lower Decks is coming in August, or are they going to push it back to fill a hole later?
I've said a number of times I think they were planning to drop it the same week as Those Old Scientists. That just makes sense to me.
But that's actually coming in July, and they had announced it was coming in August.
It's the last week of July, though.
Yes. I had thought so as well, but the fact that we are now a few weeks away from August and we don't have an announced date yet makes me
trailer
wonder.
or teaser, yeah.
Right. Makes me wonder if they're planning to push that back because they know there's going to be big gaps in their content scheduling later.
Well, if they hadn't planned it before, they may have now. So.
Well, and Lower Decks has always been August, but very much the whole gamut of August, because as someone who's always in the woods, the first 2 weeks of August, I have missed episodes and not missed episodes depending on what year it was. And so if it comes out at the end of August, there's precedent for that too. And maybe it's not as direct of a tie-in, but there's just a reference, or I mean,
I'm sure it'll be.
I'm really curious, to see how this goes. So we shall see.
We shall indeed.
All right. So, we shall see, and we will talk about that whenever Lower Decks Season 4... I keep forgetting how many seasons of Lower Decks we have. Whenever Lower Decks Season 4 happens, but for the moment, we're still talking about Strange New Worlds, but I don't think we have too much to say yet about this episode.
It's only been...
See how I got there? I got there eventually.
No, I gotcha. I gotcha. It would be, like last week's episode, we didn't have as much to talk about, so we could have spent an hour on the strike, but of course that lands on the week where there's a lot to talk about in the episode too, so bonus content. Extra long episode.
It's never a sad thing when a Star Trek episode drops in my feed and it's really long.
Abby, thank you so much for joining us. Where can listeners find you online?
Well, at the moment, the best place to find me online is still Twitter, assuming it still exists when this comes out. It's, it's slowly dying its last breaths, but hopefully it'll continue.
So many last breaths. It's ridiculous.
I know. Maybe 10 years from now, we're going to look back and then be like, remember when we thought Twitter died? Funny. But if you're looking for me there, I'm at Abby M. Sommer. That's Sommer. And my podcast is called The First Flight Podcast. I do it with my fabulous co-host Kristen, our co-host emeritus Melanie. And we are looking at Star Trek Enterprise and going through every episode one by one and talking about what we love and what we don't and all the things Enterprise and the bigger connections. And we are about 2/3 of the way through season 2 right now. So we've got some fun stuff going on. Yeah,
you just talked about Pantsless Saval.
Yeah, I saw that.
I did. Our episode that just dropped before we recorded this yesterday. He has no pants under his robes. He has great socks, like calf length socks, and you can see his bare leg. And this is what happens when you obsessively watch the backgrounds of episodes for a podcast. But I knew that the right people would see that. And now, Thad, we have a great exchange that will plug our upcoming mailbag episode. Thad had probably the best comment that there was about that picture, and it's going in our mailbag coming up in a couple weeks.
All right.
So if you want to find the podcast anywhere else too, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Threads kind of, but we haven't done anything there, and you can find us on the Tricorder Transmissions YouTube channel.
Chrissy, where can people find you when you are not judging people for how they smell?
Love that Enterprise call out.
Oh yeah, that was beautiful. At least you didn't say I was creating awareness, so that's good. Yeah, in addition to here on Infinite Diversity, you can find me on History with the Szilagys here on the BQN, that twice-weekly short history podcast I do with my fellow historian partner Jason. And I'm also happy to chat about all of our shows in the BQN Collective on Facebook. And I'm on Twitter at the Goddess Livia, that's TheGoddessLivia, where I tweet about Star Trek history and leftist politics. Right now, we're doing the lead up to Oppenheimer. So I had the first part of his life that dropped last week. We do Manhattan Project this week, and then we'll have the end of his life, which was a lot more interesting than I realized. We don't learn about him after the Manhattan Project. This just kind of falls off, but he had some interesting things going on. Right, Thad, where can people find you while you're not practicing picking up hot teapots?
Best place to find me is probably still Twitter. That's at Tyrannicus, Tyranicus. I am also cross-posting most of what I put on Twitter on Blue Sky and Mastodon, where you should be able to find me if you search for Tyrannicus there as well. I mean, the addresses are a little more complicated because why would it be easy? But you should be able to find me. And you can hear me on the podcast I do with my friend Carl called License to Spiel. That's license spelled with a C like the British do it. We started out talking about James Bond, ran out of that, started talking about other spy things. We just recorded, and will probably be coming out soon, our immediate, after seeing it in the theater, thoughts about the new Mission Impossible movie.
Awesome. And don't forget all of our other great shows here on BQN. And here's Amy Nelson to tell you all about it.
What shows are on BQN, you ask? Well, here's a rundown of some podcasts you might be interested in. All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast covering all of Trek, hosted by Amy, Mark, Christos, and Kelvin. Bargain Bin Gamer, a YouTube show hosted by Davey, a self-proclaimed gamer who specializes in reviewing and showcasing affordable video games. If you're lost in the Delta Quadrant, check out The Captain's Couch, a Star Trek Voyager podcast hosted by Jeremiah sitting on Janeway's Ready Room couch. Cinema Z, a film discussion and review podcast showcasing films you probably missed but should definitely check out, hosted by Mark, Matt, and Laz. Beam Aboard the Galaxy Class, a Star Trek Next Generation podcast covering all of TNG, hosted by Amy, Joe, Rhea, and Kevin. History with the Szilagys, a snippet of historical events from around the world, hosted by Chrissy and Jason. For the newest Trek coverage, check out Infinite Diversity, hosted by Chrissy and Thad. Test your Trek knowledge with Treksperts Quiz, a Star Trek quiz show hosted and written by Davey. Union Federation, covering all things Star Trek and the Orville, which we all know is really a Star Trek show, hosted by Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley. Spill the Tea with What's the Tea, Bev, a Trek current events and fan interview show hosted by Christos. And for our Patreon members, we have The Hive Mind, BQN's monthly roundtable discussion with hosts and listeners. It's Green, a cornucopia of topics hosted by Mark. And Amy's Math Moments, a quick look at math moments in Star Trek, hosted by Amy. We know you have a choice of podcasts to choose from, and we thank you for listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Infinite Diversity. Thank you to Zach Tripp for the wonderful theme music, and Mark White for the awesome show art. Please subscribe in your favorite podcast player, and don't forget to rate and review us there as well.
And if you'd like to reach out, you can find the network on Twitter at BQN Podcasts, or our show specifically at IDIC Podcast. You can also talk about any and all of the BQN podcasts in our Facebook group, the BQN Collective. And when you next hear from us, we'll be talking about the next episode of Strange New Worlds, Lost in Translation. Until then, we bid you peace and long life. And snacks.
And bacon.
So many snacks.
Oh, hey, you were asking how we were going to bring Laura Ingalls Wilder into this. The place where I tasted chocolate-covered bacon was the conference for her 150th birthday in South Dakota.
That's awesome.
Yes, okay.
It should have been chocolate-covered salt pork.
It should have been, but, you know.
I just really like that this is now 3 times in a row that I have chatted with you guys and we have brought up Laura Ingalls Wilder. We now have a tattoo pact.
It's a thing.
And we have some sort of weird
I am
Laura
not
Ingalls
getting a
Wilder.
Laura Ingalls Wilder tattoo, just to be clear.
No.
No! A Star Trek
Combat.
tattoo pact.
Yes.
And
Okay,
some sort
okay.
of Laura Ingalls Wilder magnetism between the three of us. I'm
A delta
next...
with wagon wheels on it.
Wagon train to the stars.
I'm saying Spock in a sunbonnet.
Cover up his ears.
No, with little holes in it for the ears.
Yeah.
Or that. Yeah, either way.
Like an elf.
Oh, jeez.
Whew. All right,
Okay.
so...
Sorry, I interrupted what you were trying to say, but I couldn't let... It's like, oh, wait.
That was the best tangent of the time. Like, All right, I don't even remember where I was going.
People were complaining about Spock eating bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't feed the trolls.
Thad, your hand is up. Did you have something to say, or did you just
Oh,
hit
no.
it?
Okay. I didn't even know that was a thing. Hold on, where did I do that?
It's usually down in all the buttons.
Oh, it was in Zoom. I thought you meant he was like...
It's a reaction. No,
I
yeah,
I don't
your
even
Zoom
see
hand
the
is up.
button for that.
I think it's usually
Oh, I
down in
had to
reactions.
expand the window, I think. Hold on.
Oh. It's gone now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't a big deal. I just felt like I was
Yeah, I don't
interrupting
even
you because I
have
thought-
the button to raise a hand. I don't know how that happened. No, I would just interrupt you. It's fine.
As well expected.
So, yeah.
That's how podcasts go.
As we all have in this episode.
That's why we have 3 separate audio tracks.
Yeah.